base 18, number 2, French out. Traffic in sight, taxi 18, going to side tip you.
Well, what a treat.
French Charlie, helicopter 921 here.
I can sync up the sound later.
Right close traffic, French Charlie traffic.
Look at that.
There we go. We're now heading back northbound. I'll point out my house. I'm going to kind of put it off my side. Actually, I'll put it off your side.
Okay.
I know exactly where we are. So when I actually first started flight instructing, I started up at French Valley, which is off to our, 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started flight instructing up there, and there's a long story that's not very Squawk Ident friendly.
Oh, okay.
we will talk offline about it, but I started flight instructing out of there. So this is my stomping grounds when it comes to where I know I am and everything. So I'm going to give you back the airplane, so it's your controls. If you keep us on this heading, we'll fly and my house will be off of your side.
Okay. So I'm going to just turn my heading bug to a 330 degree heading. We're at 3,500 feet, 95 knots.
Looking good.
Airplane is trimmed out. I can take my hands off the control and we're not falling out of the sky.
That's how you want to fly.
That's it. Trim is your friend.
And you don't fly via trim. Trim is to assist you.
To help maintain your airspeed pitch.
And it is a common misnomer with students. I fly via trim. No.
How do you fly via trim?
Oh, I want to pitch up. Let me throw some trim in.
Did they? Oh.
I've had to break a couple students of that.
You broke them?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Break bad habits. Apparently, I'm the clean upper at the flight school.
Nice.
I get students sent to me that like, hey, I'm trying to get this student to understand this concept. Take him and try to show it to him.
Now, at the flight school, how many students do you have right now?
6 or 7.
Okay. That's a pretty full schedule then.
Yeah, I fly. So my days that I normally fly are Thursday through Monday, and I've pretty much got a full student load every day.
Okay.
So
Thursday through Monday gives you a couple days off. And what's a full student load? 3? 4. 4 students.
4 students a day, 9 to 5.
And so what's involved with a typical flight lesson?
Depends on where the student's at, right? But it's doing a 10 to 20 minute pre-flight of getting them kind of like, this is what we're doing today. Getting them just used to, lesson plans and all that of like how we're going to start following things. I'm going to put a pause on that. My house is right over there. So if you see the dirt patch and where the construction is, that's a corner right there, right?
Okay.
The corner where the houses are, the 2 sides, on the south side, on that corner right there.
Oh, we're clear left. Let's check it out.
So, we are, if you look at this construction road right here, right?
Uh-huh.
And you follow that road to the intersection.
Okay.
The intersection on the south side, which we're pivoting over, on the end of that cul-de-sac is my house.
Okay, I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah. So, we are right over my house, which is always a good treat.
So we're going to wait here and let the helicopter practice landing altitude.
So is this not a steep turn? It's only 30 degrees.
Yeah, it's just a normal turn. But yes, there's my house. This is my neighborhood. My wife's at work. My kids' school, one of them is over there, and then my other kid's school is over here. And
you got a nice little park and a pond right here.
Oh, I love it.
Very nice.
It is a very, very beautiful neighborhood that we live in. Okay, so going back into so a typical student as they come in, right? 10 to 20 minutes of a pre-flight.
Okay.
Kind of going over maneuvers. Hey, that was a good turn. You know what that was?
That was our wake.
That was our wake. So 10 to 20 minutes of pre-flight of going over what we're going over that day. And then, they normally come in and pre-flight the airplane, and then they'll come in and see me, and we'll talk, and then we'll go out, get them out into the practice area, or if we're staying in the pattern, hour to hour and a half, depending on who the student is and what they can handle. And then come back in and have a 10 to 20 minute post-flight of whatever. And about that time, my other student should be coming in so that I have a little bit of overlap, right, where one's coming in, one's going out, and they're going out pre-flighting and redoing the same thing.
Nice. So what is the number one issue that is the common thread that you're seeing right now with the students you have for private pilot?
Ooh. Checklist usage.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get complacent, right? I have a student, and I'm, again, not mentioning names and anything like that, right? But I have a student who, he thinks he's a little bit better than what he is, and kind of rushes through some things, and I kind of have to slow him down and, hey, did you check your checklist? Hey, did you follow that? Hey, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
But that's kind of the big thing that I see. Situational awareness can be a thing of not knowing where you're at, right? And especially if you get somebody newer, right? That you're trying to figure out, like, where the areas are still.
Yeah.
That can be kind of a common issue as well. But that gets broken lesson 5, lesson 6.
Okay.
But that is kind of a more newer student. Later students, it's just complacency.
Yeah.
Like you've got 40, 50 hours, well, national average is sitting about 80 hours right now to get a private pilot's license, which is insane. Because the FAA minimums say 40.
It's still at 40? Okay.
Still at 40.
Yeah.
But no one does it in 40 anymore.
And we recently talked about this, the difference between PTS and, was it ACS?
ACS, yes.
So now, you're using ACS
Yep.
as a standard for a private pilot. What's the difference?
The difference being ACS takes risk management into it now. PTS is just basically like, can you complete the maneuver, as dictated, right? Can you hold your plus or minus 100, plus or minus 10, plus or minus 10? Did you do it like this?
Right.
ACS now kind of takes into situational awareness, risk management, or scenario-based training, rather than just, hey, we're going to do a maneuver for maneuver's sake. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So today's pilots are getting that.
So the hazardous attitudes that we learned about previously are now being assessed throughout
every flight. Every flight. And they're still a thing, but you kind of squash them at an earlier phase than you would into, just following the PTS. Like, you and I both learned on PTS for private pilot.
All right.
And when I got my commercial in 2017, I was one of the last, I wouldn't say I was the last one, but I was on the phase out of PTS because shortly thereafter they started using ACS. But flight instructor is still under PTS.
Yes, for now.
For now. Yes. They're in process of redoing that to just balance it out and to make it more risk management and more scenario-based stuff for flight instructors. To go kind of what you're teaching your students.
Yes. Now you learn from your students. This is a process that happens completely within your career. You learn from your students. Captains learn from their FOs. FOs learn from their captains. You're constantly learning. And if you think you know it all, or you understand, and no one's going to teach you anything, it's a recipe for disaster. What's the best thing you've learned from one of your students? Or most impressive thing you've learned?
To really kind of take each lesson as it is. To learn that lesson. And that's not just from us students, that's from all my students. That, like, you take each lesson as it comes. You don't think ahead what's in the future. You don't dwell on what happened on the last lesson, right? Like, what you've got is what you've got. Don't worry about what happened here, right? Because every pilot, and I try to tell this to my students, every pilot's going to have a bad day of flying. You could go out and, like, we go out and we practice maneuvers, right? We're going out and doing slow flights, steep turns, stalls, turns about a point, has turns across a road, like, you name it, right? We're doing it. But he executes them flawlessly. And then the next day we go out and he can't hold a heading at an altitude to save his life. And you can see just the defeat on their face when they come back in. And you're like, dude, like, it's okay. Like, you're allowed to have a bad day of flying. Like, you are 100% allowed. Same thing with going in the pattern, right? He could it starts clicking, right? And everything's starting to flow, and you're getting, landing after landing, and it's good. And then the next day, he's slamming them into the ground and, bouncing them and doing go-arounds. And he's like, I just don't understand. I did it perfectly this time. I believe so. you're allowed to have bad days. Don't let that bad day defeat you. Come back the next lesson, clean slate, brand new. And that's kind of how I've taken each lesson from my students.
Yeah.
You gotta take each student and each lesson as it is. And once you kind of grasp that, as an instructor, everything starts becoming easier. Also pushing your students to let them make mistakes.
Yeah, don't constantly correct them.
Nope.
That's an instructor. I mean, there's a lot of instructor mistakes that instructors make. We've all made them. I've made them. You know, it just, you gotta recognize them and try not to make them again. You've got to let your students take it to the point where they realize this is not the path. And then what I would do with my later students before their check ride, when I knew they've got it, but they're still, maybe they lacked a little bit of confidence, they still wanted to go up for a couple more lessons, I would intentionally try to trick them. I would fail an instrument. I would, have something go wrong with the airplane where they didn't realize it. I know there's a lot of tricks. I'm sure you have some tricks too that you can simulate an emergency to your student just to see how they react, because there's going to be a day, the day after they take their check ride, they're going to go up by themselves legally, and your name is on that endorsement.
Yep.
So you got to make sure they're prepared, because you want to make sure that they make good decisions.
Yep. And one of my favorite distractions that I love doing to students, you remember back in the day when we were flying, right? Learning to fly. What would your instructor do? Drop a pencil?
Yeah.
And you'd pick it up, right? And distract you and all that stuff. You don't have to do that anymore. You know what I love doing? Just having a conversation like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like we're getting close to, on a climb out, getting close to 3,500 feet, and I'll just start talking to him.
Yep.
And by the time he realizes it, we're at 3,900 feet.
That's what happens on the flight deck at an airline. Is that you were talking and you're deep in this conversation because you're flying with somebody that you get along with, and you're talking and having this great conversation. And next thing you know, you forgot to reset your altimeter, and you're leveling off, and you're like, oh, well, and then ATC says, say altitude, and you're like, let me recycle my transponder. So you turn it off, get back to your altitude, turn it back on, and you're like, I just cycled the transponder, altitude 35,000 feet. Are you showing that too? I'm like, oh yeah, we showed you 300 off, but okay, you're good now.
Is that the airline trick?
Don't tell anybody.
Oh, okay, I won't say a thing.
And as soon as you land, ASAP it.
So we're coming back on the tail end south side of Lake Matthews. Okay. So I'm going to start prepping us, getting ready to go back into Riverside, and getting us into
absolutely
some pattern work. Let you do a couple laps of the pattern.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
All right.
Remember.
You got life insurance, right?
Yeah, totally. Don't flare at 50 feet. Say oh shit 3 times.
Oh, okay. That's good advice.
You're actually the first airline guy that I've taken up, so this is going to be a new one for me. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will. And you hit the nail on the head. I've talked about it before. I used to have British Airways 747 pilots on layovers in Phoenix when I was an instructor there. And the owner of the flight school reached out and said, hey, if you guys are on layovers, you want to come rent a Cessna 172, as long as you get checked out with one of our flight instructors, we'll check you out, and bring your logbook, and you can go putz around, fly down to Tucson or Sedona or something. And they would. They'd come out, and they just because they're used to flying 747s, they're 2 stories up, taxiing around. And we tell them in the brief, you're going to want to flare at 150 feet. Okay? You need to flare at 10, 15 feet. And they go, oh, yeah, no problem. And you'd sit there with your hand on the yoke, and you're like, not yet. And you hear them go, oh, bugger, oh, lime it, oh, bloody hell. And then, okay, now you can flare. And they're like, holy crap. So, yeah, you can expect that.
Okay, good. So, I'll bring us, once we get kind of over Matthews.
Absolutely.
I'll take over, bring us into the pattern, right? And I'll get you kind of established. They're probably going to put us over the auto center for a left base entry.
Okay.
Just going off of expected stuff, knowing where we are. I'll get us onto that left base entry, and from there, your controls. So, for now, fly us, and I'm going to start listening to weather and doing what I should be doing as the good pilot that I am.
Good pilot monitoring right now.
Oh, totally.
Flight service frequency. Advise on initial contact. You have information victim. Riverside Airport information Victor. Time 17530. Wind calm. Visibility 4. Haze. Sky condition. 1,000 scatter.
southeast corner of Matthews.
Okay.
And the airport's that way. I know it's that way. We just can't see it with the haze and the visibility.
All right.
So I'll take controls.
Your aircraft.
My aircraft. I'm going to switch us back over to Riverside. Get us descending.
61 Golf, right, 0127, clear line.
Riverside Tower, Cessna 726 Mike, over Matthews, inbound. Victor, like to do a couple laps of the pattern.
726 Mike, Riverside Tower, enter left base, runway 27, report the auto center.
Left base for the auto center 27, 6 Mike. See, told you. Like you kind of get those in your world, right? Where you get that, okay, I know where this is, I know what I'm going to be expected.
What to expect. That is staying ahead of the aircraft, staying ahead. That is the key to keeping your situational awareness as high as possible. I'm having a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much.
There's nothing like it, right? Yes, it's all well and good to be a nice airline pilot, fly the big stuff. But being back in this kind of brings back all those memories.
This is it. This is where the passion started.
Oh yeah.
And it's often forgotten. And not all airline pilots forget. I mean, there's plenty of pilots out there that own their own airplane and are still in the GA community. But I think for the most part, once you reach it, you're like, I made it. And I'm flying airliners around. And you don't really have the opportunity, most of us, to get back into the GA world. I mean, you can go out and rent an airplane, but usually by then, you've got kids and a family life and anything like me. Yesterday, I was digging trenches and dropping PVC pipe and putting an all-new irrigation in the front yard. So,
well, you say your days off. Your work isn't really work going to fly. Your work is at home.
That's right. But when I go to work, I get to have fun, and I get my R&R is at the hotel and wherever I'm going.
But you enjoy your job, and that's the at the end of the day. Obviously with my dad and growing up in the industry and seeing it, right? My dad still enjoyed going to work every single day.
Yeah.
He would hate the commute, right? Driving from Temecula to Orange County or LA, right? But he thoroughly enjoyed. He would tell me that he still got butterflies taking off and landing. That's what aviation's about. If you have that passion for it, you turn a hobby into a paying career.
Yeah, you won't have to work a day of your life.
Nope. It's been fun growing up through the being the kid side of it, right?
Yeah.
And then now being on this side of it, trying to make my way and break my way into the industry, and seeing I wouldn't say struggles, but seeing the industry go through its cyclical, right?
Yep.
I lived through 9/11 with my dad. I lived through you call it the lost decade, right? Up through the 2008 crash, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't say crash, 2008 recession, right?
Yeah.
And
the economic downturn.
Yes. And then obviously after my dad retired in 2013, I saw the industry just go again.
Yeah.
And then COVID.
And then COVID, yeah. But that
departure control frequency.
we're hoping that
on 125.5 and Squawk
starts to dissipate. I tell you what, though, man, every day there's a new variant. I heard the Cornholio variant's coming up.
Are they running out of names, so they're just calling it random stuff now?
You have TV for my virus. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, being an airline pilot, being in the transportation industry, being in hotels in different cities and states and countries.
10 degrees, widen out your base. You're going to follow a Seminole that's on the left downwind approach in the beam tower.
Roger, we're right now at base about 10 degrees for that Seminole, and we're just about a mile south of the auto center.
Seminole 16 Alpha, make short approach, traffic 2 southeast of the auto center is assessed, and he's going to follow you to
there's the auto center, which you can see.
Yeah.
It's actually on the chart reported there as a good reporting point, so they use it as our reporting point, and the airport is about 10 o'clock from us. So once we kind of get wherever that Seminole is, which that's going to be fun to find, I will... you know what? I'll relinquish controls to you. I'll help you with your flaps and when to put them in and whatnot, but your controls on the actual controls. And I'm going to start us on a nice little descent.
All right, what are you on, 1500?
Yeah, about 17. We'll go about 17.
6 Mike,
with
just
Kirby.
continue on that heading until you turn final. The Seminoles left downwind, just to beam the tower. I'll keep you advised.
Roger, we'll keep this heading till we turn final. 6 Mike.
We're going to square out the turn.
Yeah. So I'm throwing a notch of flaps in for you. You feel that rise?
Yep.
Do you feel that in the Airbus at all? Or is it that prominent?
No, you do feel a little bit of a bump in the airspeed.
Gotcha.
You know,
716
and
Alpha,
the airplane usually will auto-correct and pitch for it. It's got logic in it.
Well, you have to use your logic in this.
Anticipation.
Yep.
All right, bird.
Spacing is good. Seminole you're following is 10 o'clock, about a little over a mile on left base, about to turn final. Runway 27, clear for the option, and left close traffic's approved.
Roger, cleared for the option. Seminoles in sight. 27, 6 Mike. Cool.
All right, good spacing, east turning, left turning.
Quarter mile south of Corona Airport for landing with Victor.
Cessna 282, Riverside Tower Ident. Follow the 91 freeway for left base entry to runway 27. Report the auto
Now the
center.
Pappies are going to be crucial for me because we're not dealing with, at least not today, we're not dealing with instrument and, you know, ILSs and flight paths.
Your instruments are your eyes.
Eyes outside, my airspeed inside.
Yep. Got that Seminole short, or on the runway, or short final. Can't really tell, but he's over the runway. And I'm going to go ahead and throw your next notch of flaps in if you're ready for it.
Ready.
Okay. There is flaps 20, or I like to call them notches, just depending on what airplane you're in.
Adding a little power, adjusting my trim.
And we want to be 65 on final, right? Slowing. So you're looking good.
Little right of center line. So I'm going to correct for
Good
that.
morning, standby 1. Seminole 16 Alpha, you can taxi straight into parking on this frequency.
All right, I see the wheels sign about 100 feet shy of the threshold. That's interesting. On the 3 red.
It's the only airport that I know that actually has that. Wheels.
I'm sure they had an issue.
Probably a few, which is why they probably put it down for you. All right, gonna go flaps 3. You good?
Flaps 3. Target speed is
60 knots.
60 knots on the bunny.
Riverside Tower, stationer 625.
And just remember, 30 shits.
30 shits. All right, let's try it.
Station 65 Papa Lima, Riverside Tower, hold runway 27.
Hey, you're looking good.
I'm trying not to have the death grip.
No, you're good. I'll be on the controls with you just for.
I see there's a little bit of an upslope for the first 1,000 feet.
Power out. Keep it coming down. Keep it coming down. Keep it coming down. Power's all the way out. And flare.
Charlie Bravo, Riverside, runway 27, taxi Bravo.
Going around. Oh, no worries. All right, going around.
To runway 27.
All right.
I saw that. 65 knots.
Getting us cleaned up.
Thank you very much.
All right, so maybe 3 shits was too many oceans.
Too many, yeah. I felt the bottom just bottom out, so.
Yeah.
Little,
It's humbling, right?
yeah, very humbling.
But you got to let your students make their mistakes.
Very, very nice. Nicely done.
That was recoverable. That was 100% good. You executed the go around, right? Perfectly good. We bounced. Oh, well.
Wasn't a terrible hard, but it was firm. The camera that fell off.
That's going to make for a good...
6 Mike, if able, start your left crosswind.
Left crosswind, 6 Mike.
65 Papa Lima, runway 27.
That was fun. But your execution on the go around was flawless. You instantly recognized it, right?
Yeah.
Threw in the power. I cleaned us up with the flaps. So you were good. You 100% said, I don't like that. I'm doing it over, right?
Exactly.
Better to do that than to try to force it and have something completely bad happen. Target altitude 1,800 feet for pattern altitude. Want me to show you how one's done?
Absolutely.
All right, my controls.
Your aircraft.
All right, I'll do one for you, and then I'll get you another one. I'm gonna walk you through this just like I do my students. All right, so we're shooting for 1,800 feet. Airport, we're parallel.
Mike, runway 27, clear for the option.
Clear for the option, 6 Mike. So we're parallel to the airport because that's the only thing that we have right now as a good visual reference to align us with. Normally I have a good outside cue, but we don't.
Yeah, a little hazy today.
A little hazy. So I'm using my runway and keeping myself parallel with it. All right, so he's already cleared us for the option, so we're cleared to go, right? So beam the numbers, starting our descent. Get us a little nose down. First notch of flaps. And just kind of holding it. Okay, getting about 45 degrees to that runway. Throws me right over these ball fields that I like to use.
Cessna 50311, holding short runway 27. Would like to have closed circuit.
Second notch of flaps.
Cessna 50311, Riverside Tower, hold short runway 27, landing traffic.
Holding short runway 27, 50311.
And I'm a little faster for my liking, so I'm going to back out my airspeed here, or my throttle here, just to kind of help slow me down. And turning it into final, looking good. Once I get that final, I'm going to dump my flaps. Full flaps. A little high, but this plane will correct. Anticipation. 2 white, 2 red. Looking good. Keeping myself center line. Right down the runway. Okay, I'm a little fast, so it's good. I'm going to pull my power here because I've got excess energy I've got to burn, which is fine. Holding it. Get myself level along the runway. Just hold it. 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 And just like that.
Woohoo!
All right. See? Nothing to it.
A stall horn and everything.
That's how you know you got a good landing.
Cessna 50311.
And we're on the go.
Approved. Follow
Get
the
some trim to help us out.
27, clear for takeoff.
And just like that, we're back up in the air.
Nice.
Cessna 282.
All right. That's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Traffic departing runway 27.
Kind of forget that it's a lot going on, right?
You really do.
All right. I'm going to give you back the controls.
Okay.
I will be on the controls with you on this one.
Thank you, yes. I scared you, didn't I?
No, not at all.
Only a little bit.
I've actually only, and I've got a couple good stories for, I've only been scared twice as an instructor.
Oh, yeah?
Which is not bad for instructing for 3 years.
3 years as an instructor.
3 years as an instructor. And I've only been scared, well, really shitless twice. So.
Close calls?
I'll wait till we get done, because there are a couple lengthy stories. We're carrying our crosswind 6 Mike. Actually, one of them's a quick story. So we do a Groupon flight here at our flight school, and it brings in people to give us, get them the chance to maybe that they wouldn't fly, right? 20 minutes in the sim, 10-minute pre-flight, and then 30 minutes in the air. And so I'm in our Cherokee that we have, and I've told this guy about positive exchange of controls. I've told him about, everything like that. We're on the ground, and we're taxiing, and I can see him start doing the
turning with the yoke.
Oh, yeah. And I laugh every time that happens, right? Because it happens.
Sure.
And he looks at me after, a couple turns of the yoke, and nothing's happening. And he's like, should I be doing anything? I'm like, no. You just sit there, right? So we get to go take off. And I see him grab the controls, and I figure he's going to mirror me like, hey, I want to feel what a takeoff feels like, right? And we're rocketing, like this.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm like, what's going on? So I'm like throwing in the trim. I'm like trying to push and do all this. And finally, I let go. I'm thinking something's wrong with the airplane. And I'm like, okay, let me let go of the controls and see what happens. And I let go, and the control yoke's still back into my stomach because I see him holding it back.
Yeah.
And I let go of the controls. Let go of the controls. Let go of the controls. Finally. Oh, okay. I'll tell you when you can take the controls.
Oh my god.
And then when we went out to go in the practice area and all that stuff, I swear we were flying like this at 100 knots.
I lost a friend, CFI, who was giving a stall training to another CFI candidate, and same thing happened, and they didn't make it. She couldn't get him to relinquish.
I lost a buddy of mine
you could taxi to Port
that way too. I don't know what happened, but they went down in San Diego doing that as well. I'm going to go ahead and throw in your notch of flaps here.
Flaps 1. There it is.
Flaps 1.
6 Mike, runway 27, clear for touch and go.
That will be a full stop this time, 6 Mike.
6 Mike, runway 27, clear land.
Clear land, 6 Mike.
Oh boy. Full stop. Here we go.
That's a 311.
So we're good for flaps 2. We're in the white arc.
Negative.
311, Roger, extend downwind and I'll call your base.
Throwing a little bit of power. There you go, right about there. I've gotten used to flying by sensations now.
20 years, and I remember the finger technique.
Right? Or you just use,
You use the finger as a guide instead of just holding the knob.
Yeah. Smash your finger till it hurts. That's about as much power.
Archer 296 Charlie Bravo, Riverside Ground, runway 27, taxi via Bravo Alpha.
All right, Tony, you got it this time. I have full faith in you. We're looking good.
Tower, we have the Cessna on final.
Okay. Throwing in that final notch of flaps.
Runway 27, clear for the option.
And let's go a bump of power. Perfect. We're looking good. Airspeed's looking good. Keep it coming. Alrighty. Let's go full power out. And we're going to bring it down easy, right? Bring it down easy. Power's all the way out. And we're just going to hold it here, right along the runway. Hold it. 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 There you go.
Hey.
And that nose wheel shimmy. Just kind of pull back to slow us down. Get off at Foxtrot. And hey, it's a good view of me.
Archer 262, Charlie Bravo, holding short of runway 27, requesting southbound departure.
All right, whenever you...
Archer 262,
All right, I got the controls.
All right, you're
runway 27, landing traffic.
All right.
And we get to reuse the airplane.
Hey, that's a great landing.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
It's an entirely different kind of flying.